Yeah.
All right, cool.
What?
So, you guys ready to
Yeah, sure.
this?
Yeah,
Cool,
sure.
cool,
I've got nothing else going on.
cool. Okay, so we'll
Nothing else.
oh, I forgot to do that whole bit just to sync up. Anyway, okay, so three,
Oh,
two.
hold on.
No, that's it. That's the opening.
Please tell me you're recording.
Oh, that's amazing.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Cinema Symposium. We are on day 21, and we have a special guest today, Catherine Agati. What's up? How's it going?
Doing good. How are you guys?
Doing good. Doing
Ooh,
very
pretty good.
Yeah. Now, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself for our audience?
As you said, I'm Catherine Agati. I am a creative freelancer. I'm also a paranormal tour guide for Ghost of Marietta. So if you are in Marietta, come do a tour. I also directed and edited a docu-series called A Nerd in Paradise. The documentary, you can find it on YouTube. It came out in January. Me, along with 3 other people, put our hearts and souls into it, as you can tell.
Well, thank you so much for introducing yourself, and let's just jump right into this movie. Coraline 2009, an adventurous 11-year-old girl finds another world that is strangely idealized version of her frustrating home, but it has sinister secrets. Directed by Henry Selick, who's the actual director of Nightmare Before Christmas.
Tim Burton and director Henry Selick assembled 13 of the most brilliant animators, along with over 100 specially trained camera operators, puppet makers, set builders, and prop makers.
I love Coraline. I think it's a really awesome story. It's kind of a traditional story in a sense when you come to little kids. They have those who go on adventures. Their parents are not neglectful.
Yeah.
So it makes you a little sad though when you see it, you know, when her parents just kind of brush her off, or when her mom says, "I'll do this for you if you leave me alone." Like, that's a little sad.
Yeah, I love this movie. I saw it as a kid a couple times and then hadn't seen it again until we watched it for this. So definitely interesting, fun seeing it now with adult eyes. Yeah, like Kat said, I was very impressed watching it, how well it uses sort of like the classic story archetypes of neglectful parents, adventurous kid, all this kind of stuff. That it doesn't feel derivative, like it makes you sort of settle into the story very quickly and understand the space it's about to explore very quickly. So I thought in that sense, Neil Gaiman and the filmmakers constructed the story very well to immerse you in the world right away. Especially as a kid's movie, like presenting this message that your parents and the people around you and your mentors aren't perfect people, and sort of coming to terms with the flaws of the parents and mentors you have in your life early on, I think is a very good message to be sending to your children and stuff. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this movie. Really love this movie.
I really enjoyed this movie. Like, I think everyone in this group, I watched it when I was a kid, and I remember it being a little eerie, not much else. And I had a feeling that I would gain a greater sense of appreciation for this film watching it as an adult. But boy, was I blown away. I think this is like one of the best arguments you could possibly make for claymation and the value of claymation and stop motion art, in the sense that this film has not aged at all. You could show me this movie today and say that it was made today, and I would still be impressed by it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. You can put a lot of value and worth into claymation and stop motion on its own as an art style, but what I was really impressed by is they did not rely on that style. There's still tremendous competence with camera angles and views, and I think one of the biggest issues with a lot of animated films, whether it's computer animation or hand-drawn or particularly computer animation and stop motion, is that the camera is traditionally very static and doesn't do a whole lot because they're thinking more about what is being animated rather than how what is being animated is being looked at. And there's so many really fascinating shots in Coraline, great cinematography and great shots. I think if you filmed it as a live action film, it would still look gorgeous and would be full of life and creativity and wonder and splendor in the shots and cinematography alone. But then on top of that, you add this gorgeous visual style with these character models that are brilliant and have tons of attention to detail paid to them. And I feel like this movie really sort of encapsulates the idea of like gothic fantasy that is wondrous and beautiful and is an escape from our mundane life while also having hints of ominous foreboding and sort of the unknown. I think it encapsulates all these themes so well while also being a fun story for kids and being accessible while also being very entertaining for adults and having memorable characters and a memorable story. And oh my god, what a score too.
We have those movies about our generation and like just throughout life in general, where there's certain movies that have us that have that song specifically made for it, and so when you hear it like somewhere else, like kind of like the Harry Potter theme song, you automatically go, "Oh, Coraline."
And I'm a big fan of, more traditional scores. I'm a big fan of, John Williams and all that. But I think there's something so unique to be said for a score that is unlike any other score, like you said. That when you hear that score, you think of that film alone. And I've never seen a score like Coraline's score. There's something so impressive for you as a sort of, work for commission artist who ideally will have done many movies to put such intentionality behind an individual score and say, this is going to have its own sound, and this sound is a character in this film. And just as inappropriate as it would be to put, Harry Potter into, like, Shrek, it would be inappropriate for this score to be paired with any other film.
Laika, as a studio, I believe, is super underappreciated and has like a strong cult following, but is definitely not as recognizable as, say, Aardman, who does like Wallace and Gromit films. But between this, Paranorman, and Kubo, which I think is their masterpiece, they're incredibly talented. There's no denying that. Like, it's one of those films that makes you feel like a kid again. This movie has so much imagination behind it. I think that there is a lot of creativity to appreciate, from the character design to the set design. I really do love this movie, and I feel like anyone could really kind of sit down and enjoy it. You might find it bizarre, but I think that there's something to enjoy here for almost any age.
Yeah, I read that when they were shooting the stop motion for this film, they were shooting about 90 seconds every week.
God.
That is that's gonna be like just mind numbing at certain points. Just
Have you
go home at the end of the week and your spouse just goes, or whoever you're living with, it just, so how much you guys get done? You're like, we got 10 seconds done this week, and you're just like, and I can't imagine like the exhaustion.
And all that to show how much they put into each of these shots, because there are some moments in this where like I'm just kind of blown away. Like there's that one shot where they open up the door and then they show like the effect behind it, like just kind of springing out, like before she crawls through the tunnel. Like that still blows me away, the way they like were able to make that look.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't have to be. They could have like been like, that's too much. Like we can just have her go through and then come out the other side. But no, they're like, let's get these details in here.
Like I remember when I was a kid and I was reading in, I think, Nick Magazine or somewhere, either Nick Magazine or Disney Adventures, about the animated film Igor. I don't know if any of you guys remember that, but there's an animated film called Igor. And they were like, so Igor turns his back when he's pouring the potions because it's very difficult to animate water. And this was like a special like inside detail they were talking about. But when you look at studios like Laika and other stop motion studios in particular, they don't go that easy route. They don't like, we'll cut when it's convenient. We'll put in, this effect when it's convenient. If they want to achieve a more realistic, interesting effect, they'll 100% go for it. And I really respect that.
I think that when they do quality like that, that's what makes films like this, where it's when you first automatically see it, like, oh, this is a kid's film. But when they put those kind of details in there and make it so exquisite and gorgeous, that is when you get a film that is for all ages. Now, granted, you can watch any kid film you want. Any kid film is for any age. Like it does, like there's no cutoff. But it's still like the way Coraline's made is you don't know who the key demographic is because it literally could be for anyone. My favorite visual was the garden.
Oh,
in,
yeah.
The other worlds. That right there is some of the most exquisite animation and claymation I've ever seen.
Yeah, this is just an incredible film. Just incredible children's film, incredible claymation, incredible story. It takes the source material of the book and I think adapts it to screen and really I think even builds upon it in a lot of great ways. Yeah, just outstanding visuals from start to finish, and I couldn't recommend this enough.
I was really blown away with this movie. Seeing it now as an adult, as I've said, there's a tremendous amount of technical prowess that goes into cinematography and animation. The animation style is gorgeous and really brings you into this world, and the dioramas and the sets are just gorgeous. There are so many creative, fun characters. It feels like the perfect adaptation of a children's storybook, which is exactly what it is. It's perfect. It is so involving and fantastical and haunting all at the exact same time. This is certainly, I think, one of the greatest testaments there is towards stop motion animation as an art form.
Of course, I'm going to end up recommending this to anyone and everyone. I love Laika. I love everything that they put out. Like I said, I don't think they put out a bad film. The only real problem that you could have from this movie is, like, just on personal level, personal nitpicks. Now, I have a hard time finding problems with claymation films because of how intentional everything is and how much everything has to be, which is why I think we focus so much on just the craft of it. This is an incredible movie, and it's not only an incredible like family film, it's an incredible film in general. I love the puppets, I love the sets, I love the special effects. There's like everything I just like love about this movie.
When it comes to this movie, I think for me, it's not just the animation, it's not just the score, it's more the story. It's very relatable. There are so many kids who grew up who had to create little worlds for themselves or go off on adventures like all the time and things like that. So I think that's one thing about the story that's really awesome is why it transcends ages, because older people can relate to that story of, I know what it's like to grow up and having to create and be adventurous more because my parents were so busy. And then it's also just beautiful because both of them, even though the parents don't really know what happened with her, they create this new found appreciation for each other. I think she just like at the end of the day realizes this other world has made her realize how much though she gets frustrated with them. And then in turn, they realize that they're being neglectful of their daughter and they need to do a better job at that because they're watching what this world is doing to her mind that they think she's created. But that's the other thing, like the story is just absolutely beautiful. But at the end of the day, like if you want to take a lesson from it, don't neglect your kids or they're going to get kidnapped by a woman with buttons for eyes.
You could stay here forever if you want to.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
My documentary, go check it out, A Nerd's Paradise, the documentary on YouTube. It's free. The docu-series, it's great. I am incredibly proud of everybody who was involved and everybody that did it. And then also the tour guides, not just for me, but George, Ghost of Marietta. Check it out when you come, or if you live in Marietta, live around. It's a lot of fun. It's a great night. So yeah, and also I'm a creative freelancer, so if you need anything.
All right, so thank you so much for joining us for this episode, and thank you so much, Kat, for joining us. Go check out all of her stuff that she mentioned.
It's been fun. I enjoyed it.
Next up, we got a review of What We Do in the Shadows, which will feature Theodora coming back again for another review.
This is breaking.
Anyway, we'll see you guys all next time. Goodbye. Everything's breaking.
Bye.
Bye.